show, not profitable. Man, it's all illogical. I've been sick now. This shit is chronicle. Hands be holding. The face shows how we hold them. Y'all keep making noise trying to get noticed. Y'all can't see me. You got no focus. I show up, they disappear. Hocus pocus for no respect. When your boys come to sweat. When I call on Artie from 41 snap. Target select. Target acquisition when them shells rain down, you look like a bad car collision. Come get it, come with it. I can beat them into submission or play it safely. Hit them from some distance. Long range, close range, however I deliver. Shit you're gonna remember. I go for kill shots, not the injure. Man, these bars got no hold. Show them how to use the flow. Man, you can't move the flow. They stay pissed off, cause I'm pissed hard. I launch rocket raccoons. Down to lift off.
Yes. Hit them with my missile on they spaceship. Fucked up, decapitate, Russian sickle. Ravish and rock brew. Disrespectful nigga, hockaloogie, your pretty fool. Shit. Far from a small fry. Knuckle up, two black guys from black guys. Listen, man. Bust flames I don't miss. No game on range turned it on the red miss. People on tape talking face to face with rock talk shit, you get knocked out. Damn. Conservative static. Sight hit your bus rounds up. Season you silly rabbit. Tricks and kid. Act bananas, I will kill you when I step across city blocks. Andy Rock, Godzilla. Face me, face the feet, in feet, hands and feet. Turn your beats to mince meat. Listen, yo. I'm not no hero. Forward, down, forward, high punch, rap spine, sub-zero, bitch. Can't forget about Robbie, have him run into the cops crying. Rock just rock.
Damn.
Street fighter with black fist, KO uppercut, bitch nigga.
You can. Greetings, salutation. I'm TNathan. It is 10:02 Central Standard Time and 11:02 Eastern Standard Time, and I am not late. I refuse to believe that I am late. Welcome to Conversations with TNathan on the GCPR network and across all my social medias. Thank you for joining me tonight, and hope you had a good weekend. Today is Monday, August the 5th. August the 5th. Very interesting weekend, to say the least. How are you all doing? How are you all doing? Bella snacks. These are Bella snacks. These are Bella. And she's asleep. I'm not eating. I'm not. They'll be there when she wakes up. How's everyone doing tonight? Everyone doing all right? Feedback. You're watching me. If you're watching me on social media, I'm monitoring a little feedback. If you all want to question me, I'm monitoring you all. We're going to talk tonight about some events that unfolded on the weekend involving RFK Jr. Who I believe Kamala Harris's pick will be for vice president, and just the basic states of greetings, Portia, greetings, Lil, greetings, family. Just a basic, unapologetically black perspective on what is going on in the world. Yeah, today is April the 5th, and it is the 1 year anniversary. The 1 year anniversary, say it with me, the 1 year anniversary of the Montgomery Riverfront Brawl. Yeah, and if you go to my page, you'll see I made a video giving you a rundown of what has transpired in that year as far as with the defendants and how only one of them got into jail time and everybody else got basically community service and court costs. But yeah, go to my page, watch that video, and you can see me break it down on this 1 year anniversary. You know, what gets me is that how many people be into things when they happen, but yeah, their follow-up skills are quite limited, But it is what it is. This is the 1 year anniversary, so y'all get your chairs, get your hats. I wore a hat in case I have to throw it up, and that's what it's all about. Um, I want to talk about this RFK Jr. thing. I don't know if y'all heard, but I actually dropped a video before the article came out because I had caught it. I saw the video. Someone sent me the video and say, and I was like, really? So I listened to the video, and I'm going to play the video for you all so you can see it in entirety. But I'm also going to play the story. If you all remember, 10 years ago, I think it was March of 2024, but 10 years ago in New York, there was a bear cub. A bear cub was found that had slash and stab marks on it on top of a bicycle in Central Park. And this event happened, and police came, they roped off the area. I mean, it made national news. And if you lived in New York, you probably remember it more than those who don't. But it made national news. 2014, national news, bear found in Central Park, which was strange since, you know, there are not really any bears roaming around Central Park. Black bear, kind of poetic, right? So I'm going to show you. First, we're going to take a look at the interview of what happened. This is what happened. I want you to pay attention. And my madness, you all always know I have method to my madness.
Bear cub is discovered dead in, of all places, Central Park, an apparent case of animal cruelty. CBS 2's Matt Kozar has more on the bear mystery.
In a popular section of Central Park, an unusual crime scene.
We were about over here.
Florence Slatkin says she was walking her dog this morning when she saw something furry underneath the bushes. Police say the 3-foot-long black bear cub had stab and slash wounds and appears to have been dumped there. Adding to the mystery, Slatkin says the baby bear was lying on top of this bicycle, which police confiscated as evidence.
The bicycle was under the bushes. Part of the bicycle was sticking out, and that's what we saw. Then when we looked closer, we could see something on the back wheel, just laying on the back wheel.
The spot where the bear was found is not in a secluded part of Central Park. It's right near West Drive, where thousands run and bike every day.
That's horrible. It's very bizarre.
To think that somebody with criminal intents would do such a thing right here in our backyard is disturbing.
The Department of Environmental Conservation carefully removed the bear and wrapped it in a tarp. Investigators say the necropsy, which is an autopsy for an animal, will be done in Albany.
It's very strange to find in Central Park.
A strange and upsetting crime. In Central Park, Matt Kozar, CBS 2 News.
I was taking a group of people falcon.
That thought. Hold that thought. So, 10 years ago, in 2014, a bear cub was discovered in Central Park. And that bear cub was discovered with slash and stab marks, okay? And the bear cub was laying on top of a bicycle. And if you watch the video, you can see the police took the bicycle into custody and they dusted it for prints. Are we following me so far? They take the cub, they take the bear cub, has an autopsy done on him, and they take the bicycle into custody to dust for prints. That was 10 years ago. Nobody was ever arrested in connection with that crime. And also, if they had been, they would have been facing fines and penalties because it's not legal to dump bear cubs in Central Park. That's not legal. So I want you to pay attention to this video where we finally find out who left the bear cub in Central Park. Let's get it. And listen to the dismissive way in which it is spoke about.
I was taking a group of people falconing up in Goshen, New York, up in the Hudson Valley. And I was supposed to meet them there at like maybe 8 or 9. I was driving up maybe, really early, like 7. And that woman in a van in front of me hit a bear and killed it, a young bear. So I pulled over and I picked up the bear and put him in the back of my van.
as we keep going, you see, he just said he pulled over after the woman hit the bear. I guess the woman kept going because I don't know what her status is. She just hit a bear cub, and we don't know anything about her. We're just accepting this from his point of view. But you all understand how Robert F. Kennedy Jr. goes out of his way to say that his campaign is in no way associated with Donald Trump or Joe Biden. He's running an independent campaign, right? The woman he's talking to standing there is a staunch Trump supporter. That is Roseanne Barr. That is Roseanne Barr in this, and you can see it's a house. They're in a house. This is not out at a bar in a restaurant. This is at one of their houses, right? And this is Roseanne Barr. He is talking to about this situation. Let's get back to listening.
Because I was going to skin the bear, and it was very good condition, and I was going to put the meat in my refrigerator. And you can do that in New York State. You can get a bear tag for a roadkill bear.
Roadkill bear.
So then we went hawking, and I had the bear in my car. And then we had a really good day, and we went late. We were catching a lot of game, and the people really loved it, so we stayed late. And instead of going back to my home in Westchester, I had to go right to the city because there was a dinner at.
Oh, and he got this bear in his car. This bear has been in his car. He says he went to some kind of event, and they wind up fishing or something. And he wound up catching more fish or game than he expected. So that ran over. And so then he didn't get to go back to his house in Westchester and drop this bear off. The bear with stab wounds and slash marks on it that somehow, he said, had been hit by a woman in a car. Yeah, right. And he just happened to throw it in his van, because his idea was he was going to skin the bear and then proceed to break it down, the meat down, and put it in the freezer. But listen to this, and he's talking to Roseanne Barr and somebody else off camera. And I don't know if it's his home or one of their homes, but he's definitely, you can see, in a home.
Peter Luger Steakhouse. And at the end of the dinner, it went late, and I realized I couldn't go home. I had to go to the airport. And the bear was in my car, and I didn't want to leave the bear in the car, because that would have been bad.
Yes, leaving the bear in your car would have been bad. Now remember, from this morning, he's had this bear in his car that he alleges had been struck by a woman in front of him in her car. And, we haven't had this woman come forth and say anything about this. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. puts the bear in his vehicle, in his van at the time. He goes with some friends, and they're doing some fishing and game, and they ran over. Then he didn't get the chance to go to his home in Westchester. So then he had to go into the city, and he went to a restaurant, and that ran long. And so now he has to go to the airport. And this, I'm going to get to Martha Moxley. That is exactly what I'm going to get to as this unfolds, because what does this say? And I'm going to talk about the important role that RFK Jr. had in his cousin, Mike Skagel, getting out of prison in association with the murder of Martha Moxley. I'm going to talk about that, getting ahead of the story. But we're going to talk about it. Let's get it.
So then I thought, at that time, this was a little bit of the redneck in me. There'd been a series of bicycle accidents in New York. They had just put.
Okay, I got to stop there. Because did you hear him? He said the redneck in him. The redneck in him. Can somebody tell me what the redneck in a Kennedy looks like? This is Robert F. Kennedy's son. This is John F. Kennedy's nephew. This is Jacqueline Onassis Kennedy's nephew. This is from the Kennedy clan of Camelot. Senator Ted Kennedy. So tell me, what does a redneck in that family look like? Because I don't ever remember them saying they had any Appalachian roots. Yeah.
In the bike lanes, and some people, a couple of people had gotten killed, and it was every day, and people had gotten badly injured. Every day it was in the press. And so I thought, I wasn't drinking, of course, but people were drinking with me.
I wasn't drinking, of course. Why would you throw that in there if you wasn't drinking? Because you realize how absurd this story sounds that you had. I heard that the redneck in him, this is the year of Aquarius, truth being exposed. Yeah, I don't know about the year of Aquarius, but this man, that he hadn't been drinking, found the need to throw that in there. Also, let me remind you all of something, right? Before you all, I'm gonna come back to it.
Thought this was a good idea. And I said, well, I had an old bike in my car that somebody had asked me to get rid of it. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike. It'll be funny for people. So everybody thought that's a great idea. So we went.
Who thinks it's a great idea? Who thinks it's a great idea to take a bear cub and take your bike and put him on top of the bike and pretend like he got hit by a bike in Central Park? Who thinks this is a good idea? This is some crazy ass shit. Yes, that is Roseanne Barr. That's what I was telling people. For Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to say his campaign has nothing to do with Donald Trump, you have one of the staunchest Donald Trump supporters in this video, and you can tell it's a home, and they're in this home, and he's telling this story of him hitting this bear. No, he said, get it right, he said a woman in front of him hit the bear, and the bear somehow, I don't know whether stabbed and slashing wounds that were on. This is a cub, by the way. This is a 3-foot black bear cub. This is not a full-grown bear. This is a cub. All right? Remember that. All right, let me get back to this story. And he thought it was a good idea. You heard him. He said that him and his friends thought this was a good idea to take the bear and put it in Central Park and on top of a bike and pretend like the bear had been hit by a bike. And of course, somebody just left their bike there with the bear because they had hit a bike. The police fingerprinted this bike. You all saw that in the video I showed you before, the news report. You can see they were fingerprinting the bike on the spot.
Did that, and we thought it would be amusing for whoever found it or something. The next day, it was like, it was on every television station. It was the front page of every paper, and I turned on the TV, and there was like a mile of yellow tape, and there were 20 cop cars. There were helicopters flying over it, and I was like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" And then there was some people on TV in Tyvek.
He sees this on television the next day that they have discovered the bear murdered in the park. They have discovered the murdered bear in the park on top of a bicycle. And he sees everything that's going on and how this is really become a big story, evolving a big story. So he's gonna go and turn himself in, right? He's gonna go and let the police know, hey, I fucked up and I put the bear in Central Park. Right? That's what he's gonna do, right? Yeah, let's see.
With gloves on, lifting up the bike, and they're saying they're gonna take this up to Albany to get it fingerprinted. Uh-oh. And I was worried because my prints were all over that bike.
You heard it. His prints are all over the bike because it was in his trunk. They didn't do this with any gloves on, I guess. Maybe this is how he got brain worms from the bear. And it would serve him right if he did, if he had brain worms. If he had brain worms. But I hope he got them from the bear. So the bike has his fingerprints all over. Now, you all remember that. Y'all saw them dusting the bike to print, and his prints, he acknowledges his prints are all over this bike, right? And he didn't feel the need to go and let the police know that he was the one who put the bear in the park. Now, understand, I'm gonna say this, Central Park 5. Police are looking for somebody to blame this bear incident on, right? So basically, RFK Jr., the man who 10 years ago, we're not talking about as a 16-year-old prank, a 16-year-old pulling a prank, like it's not sociopathic to just think about this. We're not talking about that. This was 10 years ago. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was 60 years old 10 years ago. He was 60 years old 10 years ago. Like I say, I know for some people 10 years seems like a long time, but he was 60 years old. And this is the idea they came up with. This was the good idea.
Luckily, the story died down after a while, and it stayed dead for a decade. And the New Yorker somehow found out about it.
Now, let's get to, he's telling this story, and what is he doing? He's trying to get in front of the story. He's trying to get in front of the story because it has been discovered that the New Yorker is about to print a story on this happening 10 years ago. He's not coming clean even now because, you know, it's statute of limitations is up, which I thought was convenient that the statute of limitations run out on anything associated with this, and now it's discovered. But yeah, the New York is about to do a story.
And they're going to do a big article on me, and that's one of the articles. So they asked me, the fact checkers, that, you know, it's going to be a bad story. I think it's a great
story. Did you hear that? He said it's going to be a bad story. And Roseanne and other guys say, we think it's a great story. We think it is a great story. Hold on. Dun, dun, dun. All right, he thinks this is a great story. Let's get back and we'll pick it up there. Yeah, okay, well, all right. Yeah, no, we're not gonna do it. So,
bear cub is
so there you have it. That 10 years ago, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is seeking a third-party nomination for seeking the office of president of this country, concealed the crime that he was willing to see. What if somebody would have got arrested in connection with that crime? Yeah, what if somebody had happened along and their fingerprints was on this bike? Because I'm getting to the point that this is a 60-year-old Kennedy. This is a Kennedy. This is Robert F. Kennedy's son, John F. Kennedy's nephew. And you mean to tell me that 10 years ago, you put a bear in Central Park on top of a bike in a story that made national news. The bike was dusted for prints and taken to Albany to run through the print lab. And nobody, yeah. And his prints on record. His prints were on record. But nobody discovered it until 10 years later, after all the statute of limitations had run out. Now, what is the other relevant part of this? Another relevant part of this is, I want to say, greetings and salutations to my little brother for joining us. Another relevant part to this is that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has emphatically stated that his campaign is in no way associated with Donald Trump. But somehow you have one of Donald Trump's staunchest supporters in this private meeting with you, and somebody else in the room, we don't know who else is in the room, But you can hear them on the video talking about that when he gets to the end of the story and it said, you know, there's a bad story that's about to be printed on me. And the guy says in the background that I think it's a good story. I need to find out who that is. I definitely need to find out who said it, because I have an idea, but I don't want to put it out there yet until I find out back, because that was Roseanne Barr, and I'm guarantee you that the other person in the room was also a Trump supporter. Also a Trump supporter. So you have that connection that he says doesn't exist. And you all know how Roseanne Barr goes in for Donald Trump, right? Hard and heavy. She goes in hard and heavy for Donald Trump. Now, the other thing I wanted to get through is Martha Moxley. Martha Moxley was 15 years old in 1975 when her body was found after she had been murdered. Martha Moxley was murdered, and it went unsolved for years. There was always speculation that a Kennedy was involved. Come to find out that Kennedy was Michael Skagel. The Kennedy's clan, all the Skagels, they run through the Sands, the Kennedys, and the Shrivers. All those are Kennedys, right? So the cousin of the Kennedys, Mike Skagel, was complicit in the murder of Martha Moxley. But for years, decades, no action on the case. No action on the case. Until finally, Michael Skagel is taken to court, and he is found guilty in connection with the murder of Martha. He spends 11 years in prison. All the time, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been trying to frame these two other guys, this guy in connection with the murder of Martha Matthew. That was his idea. And eventually it worked, because he said he clouded the evidence enough to say there was enough evidence that Michael Skagel was not guilty of the murder of Martha Mack, and he was let out. But by this time, you had disparaged the name of another black man, so much so in this attempt. And people were like, why would he do it? He was just telling the truth. This is why. This points to the type of character that RFK Jr. is. This story that he's only owning up to 10 years later, after he knows statute of limitations is over, this story of a man who would think it was a good idea to put a bear on top of a bicycle, get away with it. This thing, he got away with it. He got away with this. This is a 60-year-old man who thought this was a good idea. And here's the part where I break down. I keep mentioning he was 60 years old, right? Who else was involved in this with him? Because you see the area. I'm gonna play this video one more time. We're gonna go over this one more time. Now, everything you know, we're gonna go back to the story 10 years ago. And I want you to listen to it now based upon knowing what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. did and said. So let's listen again. Now, this will take on different meaning to you. Pay attention to the bear and where it was found.
Discovered dead in, of all places, Central Park. An apparent case of animal cruelty. CBS 2's Matt Kozar has more on the bear mystery.
In a popular section of Central Park, an unusual crime scene.
We were about over here.
Florence Slatkin says she was walking her dog this morning when she saw something furry underneath the bushes. Police say the 3-foot-long black bear cub had stab and slash wounds and appears to have been dumped there. Adding to the mystery, Slatkin says the baby bear was lying on top of this bicycle, which police confiscated as evidence.
The bicycle was under the bushes. Part of the bicycle was sticking out, and that's what we saw. And then when we looked closer, we could see something on the back wheel, just laying on on the back wheel.
The spot where the bear was found is not in a secluded part of Central Park. It's right near West Drive, where thousands run and bike every day.
That's horrible. It's very bizarre.
To think that somebody with criminal intents would do such a thing right here in our backyard is disturbing.
The Department of Environmental Conservation carefully removed the bear and wrapped it in a tarp. Investigators say the necropsy, which is an autopsy for an animal, will be done in Albany.
It's very strange to find in Central Park.
A strange and upsetting crime. In Central Park, Matt Kozar, CBS 2 News.
I was taking a group of people.
Now, thoughts. Yeah, let's get into it. So that is what happened. That is what he says happened. Let's break it down and first point out all the things I believe are lies. Number one, the bear had slash marks and stab wounds on it. That is not. That bear wasn't just hit by a car. That wasn't roadkill with slash marks and stab mark wounds. That wasn't a car bumper. Okay? Next, look at where the bear was situated in Central Park. That was right off the bicycle trail. And like I said, that's not today. That's 10 years ago. That's how it looked. That was that area. He showed the area where the bear is found. The bear is found right off of the bicycle, right off that trail where they were riding, almost in plain sight. So that doesn't correlate with his saying that he had to catch a flight by 7 and he wasn't going to get to go home because it wouldn't have been dark enough for you to be stalking around with a bear and a bike in Central Park. Anybody catch that? Anybody catch that? That he said he had to get a flight and he didn't have time to go home, so they thought it was a good idea to drop this bear and the bike. What are you so interested? You dropped the bike off. Make it make sense. Power off. Make it make sense. Why did you drop the bike off? Because he said he was trying to make it look like the bear had been hit by a bike. Yeah, that's someone. Somebody gonna hit a bear with a bike in Central Park and get so scared they run off and leave their bike and it's not gonna tell anybody. You're not gonna tell anybody. You're not gonna tell. You don't want your bike back. This is Central Park, 2014. Somebody riding their bike in Central Park hits a bear, and they just ran off and left the bike. Who does that make sense to? Who? He told on himself in his confession video. I believe that the bear cub was the victim of his sociopathic tendency. And the ideas, I do believe something came up and he did try to, I believe something did come up and he just thought about leaving the bear in the park. But that bike is relevant. It's something about that bike. The bike is probably gone by now, but it's something about that bike. It's the bear, yeah, he just did. But there's some reason he took and left that bike in Central Park. So I don't know. I bet they don't have the bike anymore after 10 years, but I guarantee you that if they had that bike, I'm guaranteed there were other fingerprints on that bike also. There were other fingerprints on that bike because he said a friend gave him the bike. Does anyone know what happened? You mean what we're talking about? Greetings, salutations. You mean everything we just played that he said happened? I'm lost. I got lost for a minute because I was like, was I just talking about what he said happened and breaking it down? So I don't know. And if maybe someone's new. But anyway, that's what he said happened. That's what doesn't ring true. The bicycle, did anything happen to him at all after what happened? He confessed. No, the statute of limitations, Cassie, has conveniently run out on this issue. And that's what I'm saying. I want to know what a bike is. I want to know where the fingerprints they lifted from that bike. Because like I said, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. 10 years ago was 60 years old. He was 60 years old. So this isn't some, some 16-year-old doing a stupid prank. This is a 60-year-old man at the time. That's what we need to find out, Rain. We need to find out if there were any hit and run accidents involving a missing bike, or who went missing on those days with their bike. Because this is 10 years ago, 2014. And he said, why did some friend just randomly give him a bike to put in his van? And you all know what vans are, right? Y'all know, I guarantee you his van is probably white. He probably had a white van 10 years. He was 60 years old. 60 years old. That's what we need to see: missing people, missing person reports from that time, and who went missing with their bike. The bear. He said he hit the woman in front of him while he was challenging from Westchester. He was coming from Westchester, he said, and a woman in front of him hit a bear, and he was claiming the bear as roadkill, and so he threw it in his car. So you mean to tell me this should be easy to find out? Because if you hit a bear cub in your car, you did some damage to your car. So I'm sure this person had to go get some repair work on their car. And if they know they hit a bear 10 years ago, they should come forward. It's so crazy. He and his cronies were all laughing at it, and it was like nothing to them sick. That's because there's more to the story, because that's another thing. Who is validating this story? Yeah, all we have is him saying. We don't have anybody coming forth saying that, yeah, I was with Robert and we decided that we were going to put the bear in Central Park. Right. Why is Roseanne Barr there in the first place to be getting the story? And he told the story. Like I said, the video I got was before today. The New York Times and New York Post posted the story about this. I got it over the weekend and I made my video about it. But I have these same questions, and when I read through the article doesn't ask these questions. I want to know. They just take too much. They take too much of what he said was true as true. They're taking too much of what Robert Kennedy Jr. is saying about this incident as true, and focusing on the point that it's a fine for what you did. But nobody is looking into investigative reporting, looking into missing people, missing bikes, or no one has come forward and say, well, I gave him the bike. You know what? And even if the bike doesn't exist, in Albany, I bet they have, unless of course, he's a Kennedy, but I bet they still have the fingerprints lifted from the bike. I guarantee you they still have the fingerprints lifted from the bike. Those fingerprints should be compared to anything they can find of any of the missing people that went missing in that area in 2014. Because this doesn't make sense. He just happened to have a bicycle in his van. He just happened to hit a bear. I mean, he just happened to have a bicycle in his van. He was no indication that this 60-year-old man was ever riding this bicycle. And he just happened to put a bear in his van after somebody in front of him hit it. And he just happened to run off enough time before he was going to be at the airport to get a bear out of the van in a heavy traffic area when the sun is still shining lowly, and somehow nobody's seen him. So you don't think he's telling the truth about it? Right. Remember what old Ted is known for? They think they're above the law. That's why right. And All State 67, I'm talking about two Teds, not just one. Are we talking about one that has the name Kennedy, and I'm talking about another one that has a name that starts with a B? Because this doesn't pass the vibe test. This doesn't pass the vibe test. When I listened to him tell this story, he told the story from a point of view as a man that's above the law, and he didn't care. He didn't care. And that is some sociopathic tendencies if I ever seen one. Even if he hit the bear, it must be killed humanely, not prison shanked. Good point, because if the bear had stab wounds and slash wounds, yeah, I would like to see that autopsy report, because I bet the necropsy, not autopsy, necropsy report of the bear, because I'm going to say that, yeah, let's see I think the New York Times, they need to find the necropsy on that bear and see if the wounds that the bear had were consistent with being struck by a vehicle. I got Olivia Benson on the phone now. Olivia Benson is entire sex crimes. Do you think there was well, okay, yeah, I just caught it. Yeah, could be, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like I say, it's not even a conspiracy theory. It's just that people are not asking enough questions for me. The article takes what he says, even though it's abhorrent, just as bad as shooting your dog because it doesn't act like you want to. And we know what happened to her. She got taken out the running for vice president, the governor of North Dakota, after she said she put her dog down. But this man, at best, killed the bear cub. At best, killed the bear cub and tried to cover it up. At best. At worst, I want to know where the bike came from. I want to know who else's fingerprints were on the bike. I want to know how a 60-year-old man did all that by himself. I want to know. Because, Jay, you still in here? You remember what New York was like 10 years ago for bicyclists in that area? And I've been to Central Park. That area of Central Park, at that time, there was no way that he did what he said he was going to do without people seeing him. And how many people are just turning the other way at the sight of a white man in his 60s carrying a bike and a bear? Anybody? A white man in his 60s getting out of a van with a bike and a bear, or either getting out of his van with a bike, coming back to his van, grabbing a bear and taking the bear and laying him on top of the bike. Somebody make this make sense. A 3-foot cub. Yeah. 60-year-old. Yeah. No. Not buying it. Yeah. Why was he going to skin the bear? Baby bear is not even big enough for a rug. All these questions, Rain, are questions that nobody has seemed to ask. A 3-foot bear, and you were going, yeah, right, you're going to skin it and get meat from it? Who, we got, does baby bear taste like veal? I'm confused. What does, number one, who eats bear? I guess somebody does. If you eat bear, I get all, if they don't sell it at Walmart, I'm not eating it. And if they sell it at Walmart, I'm still not eating it if it's marked bear. Yeah, I'm not. So I don't. But roadkill. And then he had the nerve to say the redneck in him. Motherfucker, you're a Kennedy. You're not even Kennedy adjacent family. You are a direct line to Joe and Ethel. Joe and Ethel were literally your grandparents. You understand that? Joe and Ethel Kennedy were literally your grandparents. Robert F. Kennedy Sr., the brother of John F. Kennedy, is his uncle. And he had the nerve to say, the redneck in him. Y'all make it make sense. So that's my take on it. That's why I wanted to talk about that tonight. I want to share that with you all and put that on your mind. And hey, y'all listening in Romania, I know we sound crazy here. I know our audience on the GCPR network, and they're listening to this like, that sounds crazy. It sounds crazy to us too. It sounds crazy to us too. Wherever you're listening to, I know, I don't know if my African audience is listening tonight because I didn't look at the numbers, but yes, it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. It is. I'm gonna spend the last, how much time I got? I got about 15 minutes left. I want to spend the last 15 minutes talking about the state of the Democratic election, the Democratic Party right now. Kamala Harris. I don't want to go over who I think we're going to have as a vice presidential candidate, and see. Oh, the Supreme Court rejected a bid by the state of Missouri to halt Donald Trump's upcoming sentencing for his conviction and his hush money conviction. State of Missouri. Yeah, that just came across my news feed. The greetings and salutations. That just came across my news feed. That the Supreme Court rejected a bid by the state of Missouri to halt Donald Trump's upcoming sentencing and his conviction in the hush money case. The state of Missouri, I'm gonna have to look at that later. I can't even right now. I can't, not right now. So the final three that they say on the ballot that are being in consideration. The final three or final two, they say it's still three. They say Mark Kelly is still on the list, which I doubted Mark Kelly would be picked, not because Mark Kelly is who I would want because he's an astronaut. He's an astronaut. And Americans love astronauts. Yeah, he's an astronaut. Plus, I always said that his wife, Gabby Gifford, would also be part of the deal, and she would be a staunch advocate against gun violence, as being the former congresswoman from our Arizona who was shot, and she had to resign her position because of being shot. But she is recovered remarkably, and she goes around the country, talking about about gun legislation and gun laws. So that would have been a great combination to have as the vice president and the second lady. But now, Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania, a lot of people are talking about they need Pennsylvania, and so that would be a good choice because Josh Shapiro is the governor. He's extremely popular in Pennsylvania. And let me tell you the drawbacks to Josh Shapiro. Josh Shapiro was a volunteer for the IDF. He was a volunteer. I don't know if he ever went. I don't think he ever served. I'm not sure. But he had volunteered to serve in the Israeli Defense Force. I think that's going to play on a problem. I think you can win Pennsylvania with Josh Shapiro, but you might lose Michigan and you might lose Wisconsin with Josh Shapiro. There's a possibility. Now, and look, this is strategic analysis. This is not how I would feel or how I think it should go. It's because I'm a realistic individual, look at the reality of the situation that we have to deal with. We can't save other people until we save ourselves. But that's what I think plus Kamala Harris is married, her husband is Jewish. So I don't think she needs Josh Shapiro for the Jewish vote or Pennsylvania at that matter. That leaves us with Tim Governor of Minnesota. I think that's the choice. It's just me. I could be wrong. And, I could be wrong. But for me, I look at that Tim Bois is the safer choice. Greetings and salutations, everyone who's just joining me. Welcome to Conversations with TNathan. If you're listening in GCPR land, welcome. If you're listening outside the country, you're getting a breakdown of our politics in the country. I think that's why Romania listens to us. Romania listens because they be like, we thought our politics were bad. So that's what it comes down for me. It's not barring any red herrings or, somebody. I think tomorrow we'll get an answer one way or the other. Yeah, right, Petra. And I don't know, and I think that's just the you don't want someone to conflict. But I'm not doing the security checks. Also, greetings and salutations. How did you do that, Metal Melter? How did you get? I gotta find out how to get those. I have to find out how to get those emojis that Metal Melter just used. Yeah, he just emojied me with my own. How do you emoji somebody with their own logo and they don't? Petra just did it too. Y'all emojiing me with my own logo and I do not have that emoji. Yeah, I'm blocking you. Oh, that's right. My bad. I remember now. I did put that in my subs. Yeah. Yeah. If you become one of my subs, you get that. I forgot. Yeah. Yeah. I, I forgot I put them in there. Yeah, my logo is, you can lose my logo if you become my sub. And think about subbing to the channel because all that goes into helping those who have to be homeless and the women's shelter. And I would deeply appreciate it. Thanks for pointing that out to me, Melo. I'm gonna put some more subs. I gotta do some more things for my subs. We're gonna have all my subs got my number, I think, except for Livia. I don't know why Livia doesn't have my number. I'm gonna have to rectify that. I thought she did, but she never texts me. She just always sends me stuff. But she comes to the top, so I know it's her. So that's my thinking. My rationale I just gave you. I think Mark Kelly, we have to worry about keeping the balance in the Senate. And even though Arizona has a Democratic governor right now, it will still go to a runoff after a certain amount of time. And do we want to put that the Democrats want to put the possibility of losing that seat? Mark Kelly can hold that seat in Arizona. He can hold the Senate seat in Arizona until he gets ready to give it up. So I think that is a good thing. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for subscribing. I think that is a good thing. Yeah, you get to use my logos too. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for subscribing. Now, what do y'all think about my choices, my rationale? Let me know, and don't beat me up like the people who beat me up when I told them Biden was going to resign, and I called it like a week before. Really, I said last year he should step down. But I have literally lost people that used to talk to me about my stance, even though it was true. I remember when I talked about the letter that George Clooney had wrote, and I had to hide, and I said, "What if?" And they were like, "No, it wouldn't matter. President Obama would never do that." Okay. Well, and I still haven't gotten an apology yet from most people. And I'm not being petty. Me be petty. Rain got them too. Hey, good. Thank you. Yeah, subscribe away. Yeah, y'all got the Fold logo. There's only one member of the Fold right now. Only one public member, and I got some secret members. Waltz would give Minnesota a native woman governor. Huh? Oh, yes, the lieutenant governor of Minnesota. Yes, and that would be off the hook. Yes, I hope you did. Kim. Y'all start a trend. Yeah, I'll start a trend and subscribe, and you all get access to the logo. Yeah, we all we are all very much the turn the other cheek people. I'm saying, so that would be like you would get a governor, you would get a governor, um, indigenous governor, you would get his experience because Tim is what 60. Tim Walls is 60 years old, so that way he appealed because I know a lot of people. Let's sing Kumbaya. That's the only word of Kumbaya I know, Pirate. I only know Kumbaya. I don't want to sing Kumbaya. I don't want to sing Kumbaya. I don't know the words to it intentionally. It's like someone say, well, the words are, I don't care. Yeah, Kumbaya has not got us anywhere. Right now, we need to be singing the battle hymn of the Republic and change. If you know, then you know. Yeah, it was a joke in there somewhere. But how much time I got, Olivia? It always sounds like, hey, isn't that a war cry? Yes, you got it. It's a war cry. And we need to be singing it like it's a war cry. And I was actually, there's another song called The Battle Hymn of the Republic, but it's not the one that y'all thinking of, but you got to, yeah. And I got 4 minutes in GCPR land. And before we get out, I was, no, Kumbaya is not, no, Kumbaya is not a war song. It's a song of submission. Kumbaya is a song of submission. Yeah. We Shall Overcome is also a song of submission. Yeah. And let's Kim, I need Kim to take it. I need Kim or Jay to take and make us a war cry. We need a war cry, and I need to hear your voice on it, Kim. And yeah. Yeah, song of submission. We need a song. We need a song of our rage put into purpose. We need rage put into purpose. All the and don't get me wrong. I am a big the song. Yes, I want to hear you sing again. I'm telling you, I'm going to play that song until you sing again. Nuck if you buck. Buck. Nuck if you buck. Yeah, I'm going to inundate it. We need two toes already in the dirt song. Yeah, what's up, almost an attorney? Um, my subscription will be reactivated Friday. Oh, you lost your subscription? Ah, no problem. Thank you. But you know, you're a mod. You're gonna, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, y'all think about subscribing to the page, the channel. It does help. It does help with the endeavors we do outside of social media, and you can watch those endeavors on social media. Uh, yeah, and Bella needs snacks. She accepts snacks. Bella will work for snacks. So that's my choice. What do you think? Anybody thinking? Anybody have anybody outside of the three people we mentioned?
you.